The studio lights were blinding, hot, and unrelenting. Cameras zoomed in as millions of Americans leaned forward in their living rooms, unaware they were about to witness the most viral political confrontation of the year. At the center of it all stood Kellyanne Conway, a woman long celebrated for her sharp tongue and ruthless television takedowns. But tonight, that weapon turned against her. Her voice pierced the air, rising with each syllable until it was less. An argument and more an eruption. She wasn't debating, she was shouting. Hands flailed, words collided, accusations flew. The anchor froze in disbelief, as if afraid even a cough might ignite the powder keg further. In the audience, audible gasps cut through the chaos, and then, like a mirror opposite, there was Jasmine Crockett. Unmoved. Unshaken. While Conway's anger scorched the room, Crockett sat in perfect stillness, her eyes locked, her posture unbroken, her silence deafening. The contrast was cinematic. One woman unraveling, the other radiating unshakable calm. Conway's tirade grew so frantic that even the sound technicians flinched at the microphone feedback. The anchor attempted to interject, stammering out a plea for civility, but Conway barreled through, her words tripping over each other until meaning itself dissolved into fury. Somewhere in the audience, a woman whispered, "She's losing it." What made it even more shocking was the moment right after. For the first time in years, Kellyanne Conway, the master of spin, the strategist who always had the last word, suddenly looked vulnerable. Sweat glistened under the lights, her breathing heavy, her rhythm broken. It wasn't strategy anymore. It was raw, frantic desperation, and that's when Crockett made her move. Not with a shout, not with anger, but with silence. She leaned forward slightly, just enough for the audience to sense the shift. The storm of noise met a wall of calm, and the imbalance was unbearable. Everyone watching knew the counterstrike was coming, but no one, not the anchor, not the stunned audience, not even Conway herself, was prepared for the words Jasmine Crockett would unleash next. By the time Conway's eruption began circulating on social media, the stakes of that moment were already clear. This wasn't just another cable news shouting match. This was 2025, a year when every debate felt like a proxy war for the soul of America. The air in the country was thick with division. In neighborhoods, workplaces, and even families, political lines had hardened into trenches. People weren't just disagreeing anymore, they were choosing sides as if preparing for battle, and no one embodied that battlefield more than Kellyanne Conway. For years, she had been the gladiator of the right, the strategist who could spin outrage into applause, who could turn questions into attacks, who thrived on turning calm conversations into cage matches. To her supporters, she was brilliant and fearless. To her critics, she was manipulative, shameless, a master of gaslighting who thrived on chaos. That's why this night mattered so much. Because across from her sat Jasmine Crockett, a voice. Fresh enough to still surprise, sharp enough to stand her ground, and principled enough not to sink into Conway's swamp of anger. Crockett didn't carry the armor of decades in Washington, but she carried something more powerful: authenticity. The debate had been billed as routine, another primetime clash between old-guard Republican firepower and rising Democratic voices. But almost instantly, it became something else entirely. Conway arrived like a storm cloud, armed with the same smirks and barbed one-liners she'd honed over years of defending the indefensible. She expected Crockett to falter, to stumble, to drown beneath a wave of interruptions. That was Conway's game: overwhelm, outshout, dominate. But Crockett wasn't playing the same game. She knew the stakes went beyond winning an argument. This wasn't about policy minutiae or partisan point scoring. It was about dignity itself: who could embody it, and who would betray it under the heat of the spotlight. 4 millions of Americans watching, exhausted by years of yelling, gaslighting, and political theater. The real test wasn't who shouted loudest. It was who stood tallest. As the minutes ticked by, the contrast sharpened. Conway grew louder, her hands slicing through the air, her voice climbing into shrill crescendos. Crockett grew quieter, her stillness commanding attention in a way Conway's chaos never could. The tension in the studio wasn't just about what was being said, it was about what it represented. On one side, the politics of arrogance, spectacle, and rage. On the other, the politics of calm, reason, and resilience. Viewers sensed it, even before the breaking point arrived. Hashtags began to ripple across platforms. Clips spread in real time. People weren't just watching a debate, they were watching two competing versions of America clash in human form. And slowly, it was becoming obvious. Only one would walk away with dignity intact. The nation didn't know it yet, but this was no ordinary skirmish. This was the night Kellyanne Conway's decades of spin finally began to unravel, and the night Jasmine Crockett's voice rose from relative obscurity into something unforgettable. Because what unfolded next wasn't just politics. It was a fight for America's dignity. For Kellyanne Conway, chaos was never an accident. It was a strategy, sharpened over decades, perfected under the harsh lights of Washington, D.C. long before her volcanic clash with Jasmine Crockett. Conway had already built a reputation as the asterisk architect of outrage star. To understand the meltdown that America witnessed on live TV, you have to step back and trace the path that made Conway who she is. Kellyanne didn't stumble into politics, she engineered her way into its darkest corners. Rising from the world of polling and political consulting, she quickly discovered her gift wasn't in numbers, it was in narratives. She could twist, spin, and reshape reality itself, making lies sound like truths and contradictions sound like clever comebacks. By the time she became Donald Trump's senior counselor, she was more than just an advisor. She was his sword and shield, ready to slash at critics and deflect the indefensible. Remember the infamous phrase alternative facts? That wasn't a slip of the tongue. That was Conway codifying her worldview. Facts were malleable, reality was negotiable, and the louder you said something, the truer it became. It was political gaslighting elevated into an art form. And for years, it worked. She became the face of unapologetic spin, the woman who could sit across from seasoned journalists and leave them sputtering in frustration. But the strategy carried a cost. Each performance chipped away at her credibility with the public. Every smirk, every dodge, every outrageous defense etched her deeper into the role of villain, not just for progressives, but for anyone craving honesty in politics. To her loyalists, she was fearless. To her detractors, she was shameless. And to a growing number of Americans, she became the embodiment of what was wrong with the political machine, a system that rewarded manipulation over truth, aggression over decency. By the time she stepped onto that primetime set with Jasmine Crockett, Conway carried more than just talking points. She carried baggage, years of scandals, contradictions, and bruising political wars. She had become addicted to confrontation, thriving on the adrenaline of verbal combat. And like any fighter who spent too long in the ring, the moves that once dazzled began to look desperate. Her backstory explains why the meltdown mattered so much. Conway wasn't just any debater losing her cool. She was a veteran of the political stage, someone who had stared down reporters, lawmakers, and even global leaders, and somehow always walked away standing. But on this night, that iron control began to crack. It's almost Shakespearean. The strategist undone by her own strategy, the manipulator ensnared by the very chaos she once orchestrated. Conway's downfall wasn't about policy or partisanship. It was about character. It was about the way years of spinning truth had hollowed out her credibility until, when finally challenged by someone who refused to play her game, she had nothing left but rage, and rage doesn't persuade. Rage exposes. That's why millions of viewers couldn't look away. They weren't just watching a shouting match. They were watching the unraveling of a persona, the mask slipping from a woman who had built her career on performance. The meltdown wasn't a glitch. It was the inevitable result of a career built on deflection finally colliding with someone who refused to be deflected. Kellyanne Conway's backstory is a reminder that villains aren't born overnight. They are built, brick by brick, choice by choice. And on that stage, every brick of spin, every smirk, every alternative fact came crashing down in real time. But here's the twist that made the moment explosive. If Conway represented the old politics, fueled by spectacle, manipulation, and fury, then Jasmine Crockett represented something new. Something unshakable. Something Conway couldn't bulldoze, no matter how loud she screamed. And that's why the clash didn't just feel like another debate. It felt like a generational shift. One woman's backstory collapsing, while another's story was only just beginning to rise. What happened next would prove that shift wasn't just symbolic. It was seismic. Jasmine Crockett didn't just appear out of nowhere to clap back at Kellyanne Conway. Her fire, her poise, and her refusal to be bullied were forged in a life of grit, service, and unshakable purpose. To understand why her response struck such a chord with millions of Americans, you have to know her asterisk story, a story that couldn't be more different from Conway's. Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, Jasmine's early years weren't lined with privilege or access. She grew up in a world where every step forward had to be fought for. The struggles weren't abstract, they were daily realities. Community underfunding, neighbors hustling to survive, classrooms where bright kids often got overlooked because resources were scarce. For Jasmine, injustice wasn't a political talking point. It was the air she breathed. That environment did something important. It hardened her resolve, but it also softened her heart. She learned early on that dignity wasn't a gift handed down by power. It was something people claimed for themselves, even when the odds were stacked against them. That realization became the North Star of her career. After graduating from law school, Jasmine didn't chase prestige or corporate paychecks. Instead, she took the harder road, becoming a public defender. Imagine that, a young black woman, walking into courtrooms across Texas, staring down prosecutors, police, and judges, not to spin reality like Conway, but to demand reality be acknowledged. For her clients, often poor and forgotten, she became the only voice standing between them and a system designed to chew them up. Every case taught her something. Every injustice etched another scar. But those scars didn't break her, they gave her power. Unlike Conway, whose career thrived on bending truth, Jasmine's power came from an unshakable relationship with truth itself. Truth was her weapon. Justice was her fuel. And then came the leap from defending the powerless to representing them. Jasmine Crockett ran for the Texas House of Representatives, fueled not by vanity or spin, but by the idea that communities like us deserve someone who wouldn't just talk about fighting, but actually fight. Her style was different from the polished, poll-tested personas that fill political stages. She was raw. She was fiery. She didn't mince words. And that's exactly why people love her. When she entered Congress, Jasmine carried that same unapologetic energy. She wasn't there to play games. She wasn't there to appease pundits or climb the ladder of political fame. She was there to disrupt, to call out hypocrisy, to defend her constituents, and to challenge the arrogance of those who thought they could bulldoze their way through debates without being held accountable. And that's exactly why her clash with Kellyanne Conway became so symbolic, because here was Jasmine Crockett, the daughter of struggle, the defender of the voiceless, the product of hard-earned credibility, going toe-to-toe with Conway, the queen of spin, the defender of alternative facts, the symbol of Washington's shamelessness. The contrast couldn't have been starker. It wasn't just a debate. It was a mirror. America saw two stories colliding on one side, a woman who had climbed by manipulating truth on the other, a woman who had climbed by defending it, and Jasmine's calm yet savage clapback wasn't rehearsed theater. It was muscle memory. It was every courtroom where she refused to be silenced. It was every client who couldn't speak for themselves. It was every time she had watched the powerful crush the powerless, and swore she would never let it happen. On her watch, that's why when she finally delivered her MIC drop moment, people didn't just cheer. They felt vindicated. They felt represented. Because in Jasmine, they saw not just a politician, but a reflection of their own fight for dignity. Theirs. Also something else, something deeply American about Jasmine's rise. She represents the idea that leadership doesn't come from privilege. It comes from perseverance. That strength doesn't come from dodging accountability. It comes from embracing it. And that the most powerful people are often those who know what it feels like to be powerless. By the time Jasmine sat across from Kellyanne on that fateful night, she wasn't just a freshman congresswoman. She was the embodiment of a new generation of leadership, unafraid, unpolished, and unwilling to play by the broken rules of old politics. The stage was set, one woman clinging to the politics of distortion, another carrying the politics of authenticity. One fueled by arrogance, the other by service. And America, whether it realized it or not, was about to witness more than a debate. It was about to witness a passing of the torch, because when Jasmine Crockett opened her mouth, she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for every person who had ever been talked over, dismissed, or underestimated. She was speaking for every community tired of the same old lies. She was speaking for a future that looked a lot brighter and a lot braver than the past, and what she said next would turn the showdown into something unforgettable. The moment the cameras locked in and the studio lights blazed down, the energy shifted. You could feel it, a simmering tension that promised something bigger than just another political talking head exchange. Kellyanne Conway leaned forward in her chair, her signature smile tight, almost brittle. She had sparred with journalists, politicians, even late-night comedians. But tonight was different. She wasn't up against a host she could steamroll or a pain list she could dismiss. She was facing Jasmine Crockett, and right from the opening minutes, Conway's composure began to crack. She started with her usual script, the polished phrases, the circular talking points, the evasive detours that had served her well for years in Washington. She tossed out her favorite buzzwords about patriotism, American values, and media bias. For a moment, you could almost believe she was still in control. But Jasmine? She wasn't buying it. Each time Conway tried to pivot, Jasmine cut through the noise with precision. When Conway exaggerated a statistic, Jasmine calmly dropped the real number. When Conway spun a narrative, Jasmine pulled it back to verifiable facts. When Conway reached for her signature weapon, deflection, Jasmine nailed her down with a pointed follow-up. It was like watching a fencer dismantle an opponent move by move. And the audience noticed. You could hear faint chuckles, gasps, and even applause ripple through the crowd whenever Jasmine landed a sharp point. Conway, used to commanding the stage, suddenly looked cornered. That's when the meltdown began. First came the interruptions. Conway started talking over Jasmine, her voice rising, desperate to control the narrative. Then came the eye-rolling, the smirks, the "can you believe this?" gestures to the audience. But each attempt to dismiss Jasmine only backfired. Because Jasmine didn't flinch. She didn't take the bait. She stayed steady, her tone measured, her body language calm. The contrast was striking. Conway animated, loud, spiraling. Crockett composed, firm, unshakable. As minutes ticked by, Conway's unraveling became impossible to ignore. Her talking points got messier, her sentences ran longer, and the polished mask she had worn for decades started to slip. The more she talked, the more it sounded like noise. And Jasmine? She just waited. She let Conway dig herself deeper, patiently holding her ground until the perfect opening appeared. Then it happened. Conway, red-faced and visibly rattled, fired off a rant about receipts. She wagged her finger across the table, insisting that Jasmine had no evidence, no credibility, nothing but attitude. She doubled down, her voice booming. Where are your receipts? Show America the proof. The crowd stirred. The moderators leaned in. Social media feeds started buzzing in real time. Everyone could sense it. The showdown was reaching its peak, and Jasmine? She didn't rush. She didn't get defensive. She simply leaned back in her chair, the faintest smile tugging at her lips, and prepared to deliver the clapback that would echo across the internet. Because what came next wasn't just another rebuttal. It was a moment, a perfectly timed, razor-sharp strike that turned Conway's meltdown into the stuff of viral legend. The studio was already electric, the air so charged that every breath seemed to vibrate with anticipation. Kellyanne Conway had demanded receipts, her voice shrill, her finger stabbing the air like an exclamation point. For years, that tactic had worked. She'd intimidate, bulldoze, and overwhelm her opponents with bravado. But tonight, it backfired, because Jasmine Crockett had come prepared. She didn't match Conway's anger. She didn't even raise her voice. Instead, she leaned forward slowly, like a general surveying the battlefield, and in a calm, almost surgical tone, delivered the first strike. You want receipts, Kellyanne? Let's talk receipts. The crowd murmured, sensing the shift. Jasmine slid a printed dossier across the desk, pages thick with highlighted quotes, statistics, and timelines. It wasn't just paperwork. It was a smoking gun. Every number directly contradicted Conway's spin. Every headline revealed contradictions in her past statements. Conway froze, her eyes darting to the papers as if they might detonate. For the first time all night, her confidence faltered. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound rang hollow. That's when Jasmine unleashed the knockout blow. The receipts are here. And the truth is simple. You've made a career out of gaslighting America. But tonight, in front of this audience, the lights are on, and America can see you clearly. Boom. The room erupted. Gasps, applause, even a standing ovation rippled through the crowd. Twitter lit up instantly. Hashtags like ***, hashtag receiptgate ***, and hashtag Jasmine Clapback ***, trending within minutes. Clips of the moment spread like wildfire, flooding timelines before the segment even ended. But Jasmine wasn't done. She pressed forward, her voice steady, slicing through the noise with each line ***. You say you defend American values, yet you twist facts until they're unrecognizable. ***, you talk about integrity, but your record shows the opposite. Asterisk, 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 and when faced with truth, you don't answer, you attack. Asterisk, each sentence was a hammer, pounding away at the carefully crafted image Conway had spent years building. And with each strike, Conway visibly shrank, retreating into nervous gestures, her smile cracking under the weight of Jasmine's composure. The brilliance of Jasmine's counterattack wasn't just the data, it was the delivery. She mixed cold, hard facts with emotional resonance, weaving her rebuttal into a story bigger than the debate itself. She wasn't just challenging Conway. She was speaking for millions of viewers at home who had felt gaslit, ignored, or dismissed by political elites. Asterisk, people are tired of being told that lies are truth, asterisk, Jasmine declared, her eyes locked on Conway. Asterisk, they're tired of leaders who speak down to them. And tonight, I'm here to remind every person watching, your voice, your truth, your dignity, they matter more than the spin. Asterisk, the cameras zoomed in, capturing every flicker of Conway's discomfort. She attempted one last deflection, muttering about biased moderators and fake news. But it was too late. The moment had passed. The power in the room had shifted completely, because Jasmine had done more than win an argument. She had asterisk seized the narrative star. The moderators, sensing history unfolding, stepped back. They let Jasmine's words hang in the air, unchallenged, uncut. And for a brief, breathtaking pause, the entire studio went silent. Then the eruption came. Applause thundered. Viewers at home leapt to their feet. Commentators whispered that they hadn't seen such a takedown in years. The clip was destined not just for trending tabs, but for history books, and as Conway sat back, visibly deflated, Jasmine closed with the kind of line that becomes immortalized in memes, GIFs, and political folklore. Asterisk, so, Kellyanne, here's your receipt, the truth. And unlike your talking points, it never expires. Asterisk, the crowd lost it. The cameras caught audience members clutching their chests, shaking their heads in disbelief, cheering louder than ever. On social media, celebrities were already chiming in, journalists were posting live reactions, and ordinary Americans were flooding comment sections with one word, asterisk, asterisk, iconic. Asterisk, asterisk, it was the moment that transformed a political debate into a cultural flashpoint, and yet, as powerful as that takedown was, what followed would prove just as explosive. Because when the cameras cut away, the ripple effect wasn't confined to that studio. It was about to spread across America in ways no one could have predicted. The instant Jasmine Crockett dropped her final line, "The truth never expires," it was clear the debate wasn't ending inside that studio. It was only just beginning. Within seconds of the cameras cutting to commercial, the ripple effect blasted out like a shockwave. Phones lit up across America. Hashtags like hashtag ReceiptGate, hashtag Truth Never Expires, and hashtag Jasmine vs Kellyanne exploded onto trending charts. By the time the debate wrapped, clips of Jasmine's clapback had already racked up millions of views across X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. Viewers clipped the MIC drop moment from every possible angle, slowed down, replayed, set to dramatic music, even remixed into memes. Mobile phone TikTok went wild. Creators lip-synced Jasmine's words, turning her speech into a viral audio trend. Flying Bird X lit up. Pundits, comedians, and everyday users posted hot takes. One tweet alone, Kellyanne just got cooked. On live TV, Fire Jasmine equals legend, hit 500,000 likes in under an hour. Television cable news scrambled. Every network replayed the confrontation on loop, dissecting each line, each gesture, each awkward glance from Kellyanne as if analyzing a championship knockout punch. The divide grows, but with virality came division. For Jasmine supporters, this was vindication, a long overdue pushback against a figure they saw as the embodiment of political gaslighting. To them, she hadn't just won a debate. She had spoken truth to power, giving voice to frustrations bottled up for years. On the other side, Kellyanne's loyalists fumed. They accused moderators of bias, called Jasmine disrespectful, and spun conspiracy theories about pre-planned attacks. Right-wing commentators claimed it was a gotcha ambush, while progressive voices hailed it as the best clapback in modern debate history. What was undeniable, however, was that everyone was talking about it. Newsrooms in frenzy the next morning, headlines screamed across the country, Crockett's clapback stops Conway cold, The Washington Post, Kellyanne Conway shaken. By live TV confrontation, The Guardian, the viral debate moment that America can't stop watching, Politico, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News all devoted prime segments to the clash, though each framed it differently. CNN called it a defining cultural moment. Fox called it a disrespectful ambush. MSNBC labeled it a political masterclass. Even late-night comedy shows joined the pile-on. Within 24 hours, every monologue had a punchline about Conway's meltdown, with Jasmine's one-liner becoming the setup for memes, jokes, and parody. Skits. Jasmine's overnight icon status. For Jasmine, the shift was immediate. Overnight, she went from a rising name in politics to a household icon. Her Instagram following doubled. TikTok edits painted her as the new face of fearless politics. Celebrities and influencers flooded her mentions, praising her delivery. Think pieces emerged calling her the Gen Z's political hero. Even though she wasn't Gen Z, she was branded as someone who understood how to cut through the noise in a way traditional politicians couldn't. And the best part? She hadn't gone viral for a stunt. She went viral for being sharp, prepared, and unflinchingly authentic. Conway in damage control. Meanwhile, Kellyanne Conway faced the toughest PR storm of her career. Her team scrambled to control the narrative. Within hours, friendly outlets ran op-eds defending her. She gave interviews claiming she'd been ambushed and set up. But the damage was already done. Clips of her fumbling response to Jasmine's dossier, the visible crack in her usually ironclad composure, were replayed endlessly. Even her supporters quietly admitted it was her weakest live TV performance in years. The meme culture didn't help. Screenshots of her stunned face became reaction GIFs. Edits compared her to a computer buffering. The phrase Kellyanne.exe has stopped working trended for 2 days straight. The bigger impact, what made this moment so seismic, wasn't just the entertainment value. It was what it represented. Americans were tired of spin. Tired of feeling gaslit. Tired of debates where truth got buried under noise. Jasmine's performance hit a nerve because it embodied a demand for accountability, not just in politics, but in culture at large. For young voters especially, this was the kind of viral, clear-cut confrontation that felt authentic. Polls taken days later showed a measurable bump in approval for Jasmine, while Conway's favorability dipped sharply. Political analysts noted it as a turning point, a symbolic passing of the torch from an old era of spin to a new era of receipts. The fire keeps burning, and the fire didn't die out. Clips of the debate became staples on YouTube's trending page. Think pieces circulated for weeks. Podcasters dedicated entire episodes to breaking down the moment Jasmine shut it all down. Even months later, the phrase "the truth never expires" lingered in headlines, campaign slogans, and hashtags. The aftershock had become a movement. By the end of the week, it was clear Jasmine Crockett's clapback wasn't just a viral moment. It had become a cultural marker, a line in the sand that people would look back on and say, asterisk, that's when the tone changed. Asterisk. At first, it seemed like just another internet meme cycle. Jasmine's line, asterisk, "the truth never expires," asterisk echoed through TikTok edits, GIFs, and mashups. But unlike most viral soundbites, this one didn't fade. It asterisk stuck. Asterisk students wrote it on protest signs. Activists printed it on t-shirts. Merch. Shops on Etsy cashed in with mugs and stickers. Even mainstream brands flirted with the phrase in cheeky social posts. What had started as a clapback was now a rallying cry. It wasn't just politics anymore. It was pop culture. Every generation has a phrase that defines its political climate. Asterisk in the 90s, it was asterisk, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." Asterisk asterisk in the 2000s, it was asterisk, "weapons of mass destruction." Asterisk asterisk in the Trump years, it was asterisk, "alternative facts." Asterisk now, in 2025, the phrase asterisk, "the truth never expires" asterisk became the defining line. Short, punchy, impossible to ignore, memes painted Jasmine as a superhero of truth. In one viral cartoon, she was drawn like Wonder Woman, holding receipts instead of a shield. Another clip spliced her clapback into scenes from courtroom dramas, where she always won the case. This wasn't just a moment people laughed at. It was one they repeated, quoted, and lived by. Campaign managers began studying the Crockett moment as a asterisk case study in modern persuasion. Asterisk consultants dissected why her delivery worked. Asterisk 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 authenticity asterisk asterisk. She didn't look rehearsed. Asterisk. Asterisk asterisk receipts asterisk asterisk. She came armed with evidence. Asterisk 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 control asterisk asterisk. She stayed calm while Kellyanne melted down. Asterisk 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 timing asterisk asterisk. Her MIC drop line landed perfectly before commercial. Suddenly, politicians realized, asterisk, this asterisk is how you win the viral war. Not by long-winded speeches, not by staged photo-ops, but by one unforgettable, meme-worthy clapback. Even opponents admitted it shifted the game. One strategist was quoted saying, "She didn't just beat Conway. She rewrote the debate playbook." For Kellyanne Conway, the fallout was brutal. Her entire reputation had been built on mastery of spin, the ability to stay composed, redirect, and dominate interviews. For years, she had been untouchable. But Jasmine had done the unthinkable. She broke the armor. In political circles, whispers spread that Conway had lost her edge. Late-night hosts kept replaying her stunned silence. Analysts pointed out that for the first time, she wasn't the one defining the narrative. She was the asterisk, but of it. Her credibility, once bulletproof, now carried a permanent dent. And in politics, dents become weaknesses that rivals never let heal. The clash didn't magically bridge America's divides. In fact, it widened them. On one side, those who hailed Jasmine as a fearless truth-teller. They called her performance a masterclass and urged more leaders to bring receipts instead of rhetoric. On the other side, those who saw it as disrespectful theater. They claimed it was another sign of politics becoming too performative. But there was one thing both sides agreed on. They couldn't stop watching. For once, politics wasn't boring. It was viral. It was emotional. It was cultural content. And whether you loved Jasmine or loathed her, you had to admit, she had changed the game. The cultural fallout didn't stop at news or memes. Comedians turned the moment into set material. Netflix stand-up specials quoted the clapback like it was scripture. Musicians sampled Jasmine's voice in remixes and rap tracks. One underground artist dropped a single called Expired Lies that hit Spotify's Viral 50. Artists painted murals of Jasmine holding receipts in major cities. One in Brooklyn became a selfie hotspot, with #TruthNeverExpires spray-painted in bold red letters. The moment wasn't just political commentary, it became art, entertainment, and identity. Scholars later called it the dawn of the receipts era. For decades, debates were about who could argue better. Now, they became about who could show proof better. Audiences didn't just want passion. They wanted screenshots, documents, and fact-checks delivered in real time. After Crockett's moment, other politicians started walking into debates with printed records, video clips, even QR codes linking to archives. Receipts weren't optional anymore. They were expected, and it all traced back to one viral night. Months later, you could still hear echoes of the clapback in everyday life. Students roasted each other with "The truth never expires, bro." TikTok trends kept remixing Jasmine's voice into comedy sketches. Corporate ads slyly referenced the line, "Our warranties? The truth never expires." It wasn't just news anymore. It was part of the lexicon, a permanent addition to America's cultural memory, and for Jasmine Crockett, it cemented her legacy not just as a politician, but as a cultural figure. In the end, the Conway-Crockett clash wasn't remembered as just a political spat. It was remembered as a turning point. The night a calm, prepared voice defeated spin. The night authenticity trumped manipulation. The night politics became pop culture in real time. Decades from now, people will still recall that line. And they'll remember the look on Kellyanne Conway's face, a look that said the era of unchecked spin was over. The truth, after all, never expires. Years later, people still talk about that night. Not as just another debate clip, but as the moment that changed how America judged its leaders. For Jasmine Crockett the clapback didn't just win her applause. It cemented her reputation as fearless, prepared, and impossible to spin. What started as one viral night became a launchpad. Analysts credit that moment with elevating her from a rising voice to a national figure. For Kellyanne Conway It marked the beginning of the end of her untouchable aura. Spin had carried her far, but this time, spin cracked under pressure. Every appearance after was shadowed by that one moment, a permanent reminder that even masters of manipulation can be cornered by truth. Historians now frame the Crockett-Conway clash as the start of the receipts era. Debates weren't about who sounded confident anymore. They were about who could prove it. Politicians began arming themselves with evidence. Voters demanded fact-checks in real time. Social media turned clapbacks into case studies. It was no longer enough To argue. Leaders had to *** show the receipts *** generations later. The line *** the truth never expires * became more than a soundbite. It became a proverb, a meme, a protest chant, and even a teaching tool in classrooms studying rhetoric every era has. Its defining quote. For the 2020s, it wasn't spoken by a president or a general, but by a woman standing her ground against one of the sharpest political strategists alive. But here's the real question. If truth never expires, how much truth are we letting slip through the cracks today? Which voices are speaking up now, and which ones are being drowned out by noise? And when the next viral clash happens, will we recognize the moment for what it is? That's the challenge. History leaves us with. These aren't just clips to scroll past. They're snapshots of where America is heading, and sometimes they reveal more than politicians ever intend. Hidden vote**. We believe these viral clashes aren't just entertainment. They're signals of bigger cultural shifts. Every MIC drop, every exposed lie, every clash of egos points to the undercurrent shaping tomorrow's politics. That's why we break them down, strip away the noise, and uncover what's really at stake. ***, your turn. ***. Do you think Jasmine Crockett's clapback will be remembered as the moment that ended spin politics? Or was it just a meme that history will forget? Drop your thoughts below, because the truth might never expire, but your voice shapes where it goes next.